What is going on, Niner fans? Finally home. I've been out all day. I had training camp, joint practice, and it was like a long training camp practice. Usually we get out there 12:30. I was like 1:30. It was a long session. They stayed after, did a lot of stuff, and then afterwards I had like things I had to do. My daughter wanted to go do this, that, and the other. So I'm just home, and I finally want to do a recap with you guys. It was a very eventful day. I mean, there's some updates from the morning from John Lynch. We're going to talk about that. There's so much that happened today. Like, I am trying to just kind of calm on down, cool down, and enjoy being in the cooler home. It's hot out there, but let's talk about joint practice. Let's talk about all the updates today. There was injuries. Oh man, what a day. How the heck is everybody doing? What's up? Frank Ocean. Heard the O line was mega ass, says Peter Parker. We're going to talk about that. Mario says, I heard the Niners looked like Dookie out there today. What's up, Debbie? Flood, what's good? Good morning. Good evening, actually. Not morning. It's evening now. Let's talk about it. So let's get to these updates real quick that happened in the morning. KNBR, John Lynch, he updated us on, some of the guys he really thought were, standing out. And he gave us a new update on Juwan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk. So Juwan Jennings, he says that Juwan's working with our health and performance staff trying to get back out on the field. He strained his calf in the offseason, and calves kind of linger. He noted there's no timetable for return for Juwan Jennings, so he's still on the mend. He talked about Brandon Ayuk. He will not be cleared most likely. He doesn't think that Brandon Ayuk's going to be cleared for week one. It's unlikely, very unlikely. And he says there's no official timetable for his comeback. We know that last couple of weeks ago, John Lynch said there's no timetable, and he confirmed it again today, says they still don't have a timetable. So Brandon Ayuk don't know when he's coming back, and he does not believe he's getting cleared for week one. So those were the big major updates. He gave a lot of respect to Upton Stout, says he reminds him of Rondé Barber, and we all know Rondé Barber was a Hall of Fame cornerback who played with John Lynch in Tampa. So that was pretty cool. Talked about smelling salts that he used to use them. He passes them out. So I'm sure that he loves the fact that the smelling salts are still able to be used by the players. So let's get to a joint practice. Let me tell you a couple things I noticed. The Broncos, they're so much different on their side of the field. They had such a different vibe from the 49ers. I see the 49ers every day at training camp. They come out, as soon as they're ready, they just go and they do their stuff. They go out and they go to their drills. They don't really do a big team group thing or anything. The Broncos, they come out very specifically. There's a lot of energy on that side. Like, their vibe is just really up tempo. And then when they come out, they all break loose into this bit, like the whole team, they're on the field doing stretching. Like, they're all doing the same stretches. Like, you see football movies and you see like a whole group of players stretching. That's what the Broncos do. It's like you look at their practicing, and they're practicing like you would normally see, on Friday Night Lights, a high school football team, all stretching for like 20 minutes, literally stretch, calisthenics. Like, they're all doing it in unison. They look like synchronized swimmers. 49ers don't do that. They don't. I just have to go on this like tangent, on this soapbox of please stretch. I don't hear about the Broncos getting these weird little injuries. I'm sure they get injured. Every team gets injuries. Today on the preseason games, there's been some injuries. But 49ers, they get into training camp and they go right to it. They just go right to it. The Broncos, they're stretching for like 20 minutes. I was like, I was dumbfounded. I was like, why are the Broncos just sitting there stretching? I mean, it's not a bad thing. I was like, why are they doing it? The Niners don't do it. It was crazy. It's crazy to me. So that was one thing that really stuck out. Energy was different. Sean Payton's got these guys like a well-oiled machine. The Broncos looked very good, man. They look good. You know what? And let's talk about the joint practices specifically. There's so many plays that happen. I'm sure I tweeted out as much as I could. They were a little bit more stingy today. Oh, man, me and Brad, we had to like put our phones away. We usually don't have them out. We have them like in our notebook, but there's some stuck-up people out there today trying to make trying to be the boss. But we finally were able to get our phones and tweet and stuff. But most of them know we're there to do what we're doing. But anyways, Noah says, will Mikael Williams play against the Broncos? I don't know. He's got a hyperextended knee, is what Kyle Shanahan said. He was supposed to play on Saturday. That Kyle Shanahan says he wanted Michael to play, but now I don't think they're going to play him. I don't think they're wanting to risk it, especially if he hyperextended his knee. He's probably going to need a rest. He's been looking good. Unfortunately, he had the ankle a few last week, and now he's got the knee. And I saw the play during the drills. It was, play went, finish. All of a sudden, you see a guy go down, and I'm like, oh, crap, who is it? And I saw it. I was like, is that 98? Is that Williams? Like, we were looking. I was like, is that Michael? And sure enough, he comes up to his feet. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, they go to like meet him, and he gets up and he walked very gingerly. He was like limping to the side. I was like, oh God. So everybody was like worried. I know a couple of people tweeted out. I think I tweeted it out that it happened, that he went down. Bosa and Warner went to check on him. And then Kyle Shanahan addressed the media and said, yeah, it was a hyperextended knee. The tests were good, according to Kyle. And that's a good thing. But I do not believe he will play. Most of the starters aren't going to play. He announced that yesterday on KNBR. So you're not going to see a lot of starters this weekend against the Broncos. I'd be surprised if any of them, maybe a few, maybe like a Jason Pinnock, some guys are still trying to like make sure they're getting, the system down and everything. But I don't expect many starters to play. A lot of rookies, a lot of backups, a lot of, veterans are going to get their opportunity. But yeah, Michael Williams, man, hopefully he can stay healthy. That's the big thing. These injuries are really piling up. Let's talk about that real quick. Jordan James today, he's going to miss some times. They said that he broke his finger. He wasn't there. Like, we were looking, and I couldn't see Jordan James anywhere. And I know the other day he had just come back from a knee issue, and then all of a sudden he breaks his finger. So that's tough, man. 49er running backs and injuries go together like a horse and carriage, and I don't like that. It's not a good thing. 49er running backs seem to get injured at a high rate. We got Isaac Guerendo's hurt. You got Jordan James hurt. You got CMC's coming off a big injury season last year. Let's pray he stays healthy. Because if other than that, then you got Patrick Taylor, and then you have Corey Kiner. Running back depth starts dropping a little bit. You got Amir Abdullah, who looked pretty good today, but running back depth starts dropping when you get these injuries. So broken finger, he'll miss a few weeks. It's a bad setback, and Isaac Guerendo's dealing with the shoulder injury. So a lot of injuries, man, a lot of injuries. So JT says, who do you want Collins plays? Who do you want calling plays this season? Or who do I want? I hope they share it. I hope Kyle and Clay share it. I do think Clay Kubiak definitely should help out Kyle. We're going to see how he does this preseason. They announced yesterday, Kyle Shanahan announced that Clay Kubiak's going to call plays Saturday against the Broncos and then probably preseason. I think it'll help, Kyle take some pressure off of him, give him some more time to kind of get more creative, a little study more. He won't have to focus on everything. Kyle does everything as the coach, and last year he had to babysit the defense. Now he doesn't. He can get more creative, and him and Clay can double team the film, and I think he'll have less pressure on his shoulders. But I want to see how Clay does. I wouldn't mind if they both kind of do it. I know Kyle likes to call the plays, but I don't know, man. Let the OC do it. Let's see what he can do. But at the end of the day, let's see what Clay can do. I feel like he'll be comfortable in running this offense and calling the plays. But I think Kyle's giving him a trial and say, hey, if you can showcase what you could do, I'm going to let you do the thing, and I can focus on coaching this team up, and we'll see how it goes. I think it's a nice surprise that Clay's going to get to call some plays. He did it last year at the end of the season, and Kyle feels that he's getting comfortable with, being an OC. So it's a good opportunity, but I wouldn't mind both of them kind of going back and forth, and, they both have good offensive mind. They can learn a lot from each other, but I think ultimately I would like to see Clay Kubiak call plays. Shanahan sometimes gets a little, we all know he gets a little weird out there, and maybe just too much pressure on his shoulders. So if he can develop the game plan and Clay can execute, and then he can help him in the game and say, hey, look, I think this situation calls for this, that, the other. Maybe that's the case. So we'll see how that goes. So question, what's up? Yeah, not much. That's what we need. So much injuries. Yeah, the stretching. So let's see. Another injury today was Jordan Elliott. Has a back injury. He's going to miss some time with the back injury, maybe back next week. So Niners are getting a lot of injuries. It was pretty cool, though, to see a lot of these old Niner players. Let's talk about that real quick. That was one of the cool things about going to a joint practice, especially with a team that has a lot of 49er players that used to, there are a lot of former 49er players. Like we call them, me and John were calling them the 49er, the Denver 49ers. They had Mike McGlinchey. You had Dre Greenlaw, who wasn't playing. He was just on the side. He didn't, he's dealing with the injury, so he didn't practice today. And then you have Talanoa Hufanga, and then you have DJ Jones. So 4 former Niners, 4 starters were on this Broncos team. So it was pretty cool to see them. And they, I saw like a lot of times where George Kittle, he went and hugged DJ Jones. DJ Jones and Nick Bosa were cooking and talking. So it was cool, man. Good to see all that. Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, hugged each other. And I was like, man, it's kind of nostalgic. It's sad when you see your old players go, but it's cool to see them. And, they're still good friends and there's no love lost. And it was cool, though. That was pretty fun to see. And then the joint practices started. Oh, man, the Broncos, they're head and shoulders above the 49ers. I think they're just right now, they just outclass us. But it's good to have these issues and to learn from this type of experience. That's what you want. You want a lot of film. You want a lot of opportunities. And that's why today's practice was so long, because Kyle said, yesterday on KNBR, he wants to make sure these starters get a lot of reps during this joint practices. This is like the most important period for them in the preseason and, training camp, because the starters don't play a lot in the preseason, if at all. They don't really play. So Kyle really wants an emphasis on these joint practices. So that's why it's very important that they have these long sessions. That's why it was such a long session, to really get these good reps for the starters. And, they can have so much film now to study. So it was long. It was tough. 49ers definitely didn't play the best, and they're going to learn from this. And it's good to have adversity now than in week 12. You know what I mean? So it was good learning experience for the 49ers. They definitely got dogged for the most part. Let's talk about one-on-one drills. So I'm going to give you some good stuff for the 49ers. We had Jordan Watkins, man. This guy was fantastic during one-on-one drills. He was burning DBs. You guys saw the highlight today. I mean, deep pass, corked it, burns the DBs. I was like, whoo, 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 whoo. Jordan Watkins was on point. He was cooking today on one-on-one. So he carries it over to team drills. We'll talk more about Jordan Watkins. But he was the first guy I tweeted about when, individual drills ended and they went on to one-on-ones. Jordan Watkins was just cooking. I was like, wow, this rookie's looking good. He came to play. Fred Warner, he looked good. He had an aggressive PBU on one-on-one drills. And then D. Winters, man, I don't know who the running back, was it 28 or 38 for the Broncos? They ran a play. D. Winters, stride for stride, down the sideline, left sideline, deep pass, and he just stuck with them, forces an incompletion. D. Winters' coverage skills are unbelievable. Unbelievable. This man is such a good coverage linebacker compared to anybody else on this roster. He is by far and away linebacker 2. And let me tell you, I like Nick Martin. I think he's going to be a very talented player, and I think he's going to be a good player for the 49ers, probably be a starter. He's probably better than D. Winters in a year or two, but not right now. D. Winters, he is better than Nick Martin right now because of the fact his coverage skills are so good. He is so good at coverage. Like you saw the other day where he stuck with CMC. Well, there was, we tweeted about it. They didn't show the highlight, but he went stride for stride with CMC in coverage, and he did it again today with the Broncos running back. Like this man was flat out just showcasing his skills on the one-on-one. So it was nice to see. And after the play, Fred comes up to him and says, let's go, man. And Winters was hyped. The crowd was like, oh, man, D. Winters. So definitely a big dub rep for him. He looks good. Upton Stout, of course, strong camp. He had an interception on one-on-ones. He also had the PBU that was posted by the 49ers social page. A lot of people say it's a pick. That's the only issue with Upton. Really physical. This guy gets in your face. He's so physical. He's a dog, man. Like, I get it. It is what it is. I know it was a physical. A lot of people are ripping the play. PI. Bro, you're not getting anything past Upton Stout. This man is a clamp champ. Love to see his ability to go out there and play the slot. He's so physical, man. He can run. He can stop the run. He's good, dude. Upton Stout, man. I'm telling you, boy, this guy, Upton Stout, is an absolute clamp champ, man. I love this guy. Good stuff. One-on-ones, Ricky Pearsall was like, they weren't putting him in. And then finally they put Ricky Pearsall, first play, incompletion. He was up against Patrick Surtain. And I was like, Patrick Surtain just stuffed Ricky. After that, Ricky Pearsall won every single rep. It wasn't against Patrick Surtain, but against anybody else. So he had like 3 more one-on-one drills, and he won them all. Didn't beat Patrick Surtain, but later in team drills, he did catch an out route on Patrick Surtain, and Ricky Pearsall was cooking. You guys saw the deep touchdown, deep pass, Brock Purdy, corner end zone. That was probably his best play of the day. Brock Purdy started out slow. I'm not going to lie to you. Brock Purdy started off really rough. 7-on-7s. He had 2 interceptions. One of them was tipped. The other one, I think, was going to – who's he throwing it to? I think he was trying to go to Purdy, and he gets intercepted. So the Broncos did get 2 picks on 7-on-7s. And then during 11-on-11 team drills, dude, this man was under pressure all day. Broncos, their O-line or their D-line was cooking. The defense shut them down. Pass rush was intense. But also you got to realize Trent Williams was not playing. So you take that with a grain of salt, because I tweeted that out and people were freaking out. But at the same time, I probably should have noted that Trent Williams was not playing. But I think people realized that. So that was definitely a big issue of the fact that the 49ers, they looked like they were getting just dogged in the trenches. And if sacks were a thing in training camp, I don't know, Brock Purdy probably got sacked 5 times that first period. And he was holding the ball. It was just like indecisiveness. And that's the thing. Like, some of them were coverage sacks. Some of them were just like, yo, throw the ball. Me and John Chapman were screaming, throw the ball. What do you do? What are you holding the ball for? What are you holding the ball for? He was just holding. So that was an issue. Brock Purdy definitely had some issues with holding the ball. And for whatever reason, just, I don't know, he was just not decisive. That's what it was. I don't know. A lot of people are, a lot of people were saying that Brock looked terrible. I wouldn't say he looked terrible, but you see all the tweets that, like, it's crazy. People are like, oh my God, the Broncos made him look like crap. They kind of overpowered him. The Broncos are just too good, man. But I'm not going to sit here and say, like, the Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl after today. They did look good. They outclassed the 49ers. But also, too, this is where the 49ers can learn from. They're trying to go out there and try things against another team. And this is maybe where they're trying to make mistakes or force things and seeing different looks. And this is all film for them to look at. And that's kind of what Brock said today. He says, yeah, we're going to learn from this adversity. It's a bad day, but we can learn from it. Because in the second period of team drills, Brock was a lot more decisive and he made better plays. Like, he bounced back from that slow start. Like, again, it was like Broncos were under pressure, or the Broncos were forcing Brock to be under pressure all day, and he couldn't get the ball out. And then there was a lot of overthrows. That was the other issue with Brock today. He was just overthrowing. There was like Ricky Pearsall on the side corner. He overthrew it. There was a play to Russell Gage wide open, and he just overthrew him. So, like, those were timing issues. It's just weird stuff. He wasn't, like, as accurate. Second period, though, he settled down and he threw some touchdowns now. So they got to red zone period, and that's when Brock kind of settled down. Let me see the tweet. So he had a 7-yard touchdown strike over the middle to Jordan Watkins, and that was a slant over Patrick Surtain. He had a nice little touchdown strike to Christian McCaffrey over the middle for a red zone. So that's when he started cooking. And then he had the deep pass to Ricky Pearsall. That was a beautiful play. And then he like I said, he had another one to Marcus Robinson, but I think it would have probably been a sack or something. He kind of held the ball. He had to slide off to the right and roll out and pass it. But I think in real time, in a real game, probably would have ended up being a sack. But it was a beautiful play. But he did settle down in the second half. This is what I tweeted out. I said, Brock Purdy settled down a bit during the second period of team drills, several overthrown passes, and was under a good deal of pressure for most of the day, taking multiple would-be sacks. Had 2 interceptions during the first period of team drills, however, was able to connect on some TDs with CMC, Pearsall, and Watkins during the second period. So first half of team drills, Brock wasn't the greatest. Second half, he was a lot better. He settled down. He was, a little bit more smooth in operating and stuff. So, yeah, it wasn't his best day. I'll give you that. It wasn't his best day. But, you also got to remember there was no Trent Williams, and he was definitely overthrowing things. He just wasn't on his timing today. So, let's see, what else did I have? Yeah, just took some time to develop on some of his plays. And again, like, just some overthrows and just wasn't accurate. But that's what I had on Brock Purdy today. Wasn't his best day. And people were trashing on him for sure. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you got to be, objective. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he was great. He was okay, but he definitely had a slow start. But, the media, they see tweets. They're not there. They don't see the context. They don't see so much of what's really going on. They don't realize Trent Williams may not be there. So they're like, oh, God, Brock Purdy's terrible. So there's so much things you have to understand. You have to understand the context of things. But yeah, I do feel like the Broncos D line was just head and shoulders above the 49ers O line without Trent Williams, and it showed. So that was definitely the big takeaway for me today on that line, or on those plays. And then on the flip side, the Broncos were just having a day on offense, So for the 49ers defense, they had some struggles early on. There was the first play of team drills. You had Diamond Lenore and Upton Stout. They got it. They got aggressive. They started jawing with the Broncos. And after that, the Broncos were just like moving the ball. Started moving the ball. God, they were running. They were gunning. They were making big plays. They had a nice play. Bo Nix was looking crispy. So they didn't really have too many bad plays. I don't think I saw Bo Nix throw a pick. 49ers defense had their moments. Like D Winters had some big hits on the run defense. I saw Alfred Collins make some nice plays. I saw Nick Bosa was like literally everywhere. Nick Bosa was just unbelievably all over the place. He had some timing issues, offsides, things like that. But Nick Bosa was just definitely head and shoulders over pretty much any defensive line on the 49ers. And then, it was nice to see him back. This is his first practice after 3 he missed. He probably had at least 3 sacks today. And he might have had more. He actually might have had more. Kyle Juszczyk was back today. We remember last week he had the heel issue where he had the cut on his heel. He was back today. So it didn't seem like he was slowed down or anything. He just had to be off for a couple of days, right, to make sure that it didn't get any worse. But yeah, Nick Bosa today was he was just an absolute monster today in camp. I think out of all the players in the 49ers D-line, like this guy was fantastic. I'll give him the biggest praise on the 49ers defense. He was just always in the backfield. So it wasn't that the Niners were the only team to get to the backfield. Nick Bosa was definitely kicking some butt out there. There were some transactions that they had in the morning. The 49ers released Eli Apple, and they signed defensive lineman Michael Dwumfor. Obviously, they're light at defense tackle. Kevin Gibbons right now, he has the pec injury, so that's probably why they added him. And Eli Apple was probably the most expendable guy on the secondary room. So, yeah, that's pretty much the big news of the day. Those are all the big hits. Those are the big, like, juicy tidbits and stuff. Again, it was a long practice. They had 14 periods. They had special team sessions mixed in. They had a 2-minute drill. They had red zone. It was pretty good, man. Demarcus Robinson, like I said, he did catch a touchdown to cap off their final drive. That was probably a nice little ending to it. But again, what I said was they did kind of take some time for the play to develop. So I feel like in real time, I don't know if it really would have been a touchdown. Good stuff. And also one thing you got to say, the 49ers offense going up against the Denver's defense goes on at the same time as the Denver offense against the 49ers defense. So I don't think anybody caught every single play. So you have to kind of go with what certain people say. It's hard to cover both fields. Like, you can't be doing this because they might be in one play, whereas the Broncos are like, finishing up a play. And one thing I noticed was the Broncos offense, they were calling plays. They were just going. Sean Payton probably called 200 plays to Kyle Shanahan's 50. Like, Sean Payton they were fucking going, dude. And then after the 49ers were done with their offensive plays, Broncos they're like, we're going. They had like another 5 minutes of play. I'm like, dude, Sean Payton was not playing around. He was out there putting in work. It was intense, man. It was an intense, long practice. So, let's take a look at some of these questions. They don't stretch. No wonder all their dudes are always injured. Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the things I've noticed through training camp. Raymond says it says a lot about our O-line without Trent. I agree. Tanisha says, good evening, Raj. Happy Dwight Clark Day, 8/7. It's also your birthday. Happy birthday, Tanisha. Happy birthday to you, and long live Dwight Clark. Happy birthday. Everybody wish Tanisha a happy birthday in the chat. 49ers Throwback says, hit like and subscribe. What's going on at Levi Stadium under the lights? I know it's some event. I don't know exactly what the event is, but I know there's some event. They told us under the lights. I don't know. I don't even know what the event is. I just know there's an event today. So it's been a long day, and I actually don't know what that event is. So if you guys know what under the lights is, let them know in the comments. Throwback says, I prefer Colton McKivitz. Throwback says, whether rival or not, hate seeing players go down. Prayers for Rashawn Slater. Yeah, there's a lot of injuries out there today. I saw some guy in the Ravens tore his ACL and MCL, man. Unbelievable. So Throwback says, Broncos defense is elite. They are so elite, man. They look good. They were nasty today. It was a fun training camp, though. Joint practice, man. It's draining. Long practice. Very long practice, man. I'll give Alfred. Let's talk some more about some of these D linemen. Alfred Collins looked a lot better today on the one-on-one drills. Probably his best day. He won 3 out of 4 reps. You're going to see a lot of CJ West and Alfred Collins probably on Saturday because there's a lot of injuries to the D line. So it's been an interesting training camp. So we'll see. Let's take a look and see how things go Saturday. So I'm excited. That's pretty much the major tidbit. So I'll probably go live on Instagram and go over some of the same things. But yeah, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Heck of a day, man. It was a fun joint practice, but it was a long one, and it was a warm day out there, man. I think I'm dehydrated. I know I'm dehydrated. I need to drink some more water, take a little breather. I'll be on Instagram. Get out of here. You guys have a good one. Appreciate y'all.